Hello.
Hello.
Live. Our voices are live.
You mean people can hear me?
We don't hear you.
Should I
But
start singing?
they must hear me. Hello, everyone, and thank you for bearing with us for a few minutes here. I set up the stream a little bit off where we were broadcasting to another challenge. You hear me? Thank you, Isaac. Good to see you. Thank you for being here, Isaac, and joining us. My name is Brian Clark. I'm the voice behind the scenes right now. We will get Cecil in here shortly. I see him. Again, behind the scenes,
the voice
I
of
see
Cecil
him.
Phillip.
However, I don't hear him just yet. So we're just going to give him a moment. You broadcast on YouTube, LOL? Yeah, we broadcast on YouTube, Twitch, and sometimes Microsoft Learn TV. This is the PyWeekly live show with Cecil Phillip and Brian Clark. And we are working on a Python app and learning about Python by accident. Well, just the wrong channel on YouTube by accident is what happened, Isaac. So the tool we used, just you have to. It's kind of hard to describe, but basically, there's just a bunch of icons on like what accounts do you want to broadcast to, and they all have the Microsoft logo.
Turn this on, turn that on.
So that's what happened, and I thought I clicked on the right one. It's actually good I didn't, because somebody else is live right now. The Hello World stream is live over on the Microsoft Developer YouTube account. So we fortunately did not interfere with them. It was actually a good mistake. In any case, how are you all doing today? Thank you for joining us. I feel you. I feel you too, Isaac. Thanks. I'm glad that you feel that. Let me switch into where you can see me and Cecil. We'll watch Cecil focused on fixing his audio. You know what happens?
My audio's fine. There's nothing wrong with my audio.
Sign into StreamYard here, I feel like it picks up a different audio device for my mic and for my headphones, and I always have to double check it. That's probably what happened. My audio is fine. Do you all hear him in the stream? Oh, it might be me. It is me.
Is it? Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I was like, I didn't do it this time, I swear.
Basically, what I was just describing is what happened to me. I swear, I have default devices, audio devices set up on my machine. And anytime I sign into StreamYard, it picks another one at random. Yeah. And so that's why I didn't hear you, but I heard myself. I heard everything else going on with the stream. So Jay Walter says, I hear you both. Okay. Anyway, hello. Welcome into another PyWeekly Live. I'm your host, Brian Clark, and your other host right over here.
The guy that was the voice in the background the whole time. Hi, everybody. My name is Cecil Phillip. Thank you again so much for joining us this week for PyWeekly Live, where Brian and I talk about all cool and fun things in the world of Python as we kind of navigate our world through, go through this journey of just trying to learn about it and understand, how to write apps on it.
Yes. And the journey of learning the technical difficulties with streaming too. Right?
Yeah. But see, that's how you know this is a real show.
True.
Right? You know this is not pre-recorded. You know this is not staged or rehearsed or scripted. Because who would want to script something like that? Who would want to do such a thing to you pro folks? We wouldn't do that to y'all.
No. Promise. Not unless I wanted to self-sabotage, right? But I wouldn't do that.
But I got a mortgage to pay. I can't afford to do that.
Yeah. So if you're new to stream, welcome in. We're happy to have you here. This is a show that's designed around, it's very beginner friendly. So if you're new to Python, you're new to programming in general, Cecil and I do our best to, even though we're both experienced developers, we do our best to make it very beginner friendly and go into detail about things that might be new to people that are new to programming. Both of us are both new to Python. We've been learning about Python, and at this point, we are applying those learnings to build out what we're calling the Twitch Tracker app. But we're not going to get into that just yet because we have a certain format we follow with the stream. One is lots of dancing, as you can see over there. Okay.
I keep forgetting I'm on stream. I can't be doing this.
Also some singing. Yeah. You don't need to forget. You don't need to remember. I mean, rather, it's good that you forget.
Oh my God.
There's also some singing, all by this fine gentleman over here. Not by me. Not by me at all. Dancing and singing. Okay. And we also do a segment that we call
Links of the Day.
Where we share
Love it.
some fun resources and links that we came across that we want to share with you through the stream. That's where my mind was going with that. And that's what we do there. And then we start working on the project some more. So, and we'll catch you all up on like what we've been doing with the project in case you missed the past streams. But the good thing is, if you've missed past streams, don't worry. We got you covered. Don't we, Cecil?
We do.
We do. And how do we have them? How do we have them covered, Cecil?
Because, well, one, all our streams are recorded, which is always good. So folks can always go and check out the playlist. I believe our playlist is on YouTube under the Microsoft Developer account. So you can go and check that out.
Link in the chat.
But also, if you want to just, kind of skim through some notes and, get like the points, right? Like what are the major things that happened? If you head over to the GitHub repo for the project, and we're also using a GitHub's discussion feature now. So if you head over to the repo and you click on that discussion section, you can see all of the stream notes that Brian has been, collecting and writing down and putting out for us every week, or at least after every session. So you'll see the links of the day for that week there. You'll see a recap of what we plan to do for, that particular episode. And then what we ended up doing and then what we plan to do next. So it's very cool, like just status report of, well, you guys have been working on this app for a year. Like, what have you done? So here's a quick breakdown of what we kind of go through every week. So I think that's pretty cool.
And those of you joining us live, I dropped the links directly to it in the chat, so you can just very easily click them if you'd like to check them out in another tab. And then let's say hello to some folks in the chat. We have Isaac, who, it was actually a good mistake that I made to stream to the Visual Studio YouTube channel, because that, as Isaac is mentioning in the chat, that led them to find out about the show and join it, and they are happy to be here. So we're happy to have you here, Isaac. And so it was a happy mistake, a little happy mistake.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
Then also Robert Tables is in the chat. It says, "Hey, Cecil and Brian, happy Wednesday to you both."
What's going on, Robert? I feel like I haven't seen Robert in like forever. Where have you been, man?
Robert's been busy. He actually was part of a session with Jeff Fritz over for Build. I need to still watch.
Oh, did you? That's cool.
Yeah. Robert Tables also mentioned that, Cecil, you should consider some voiceover work and singing as a side hustle. Just saying.
You should. That's funny. I should get a radio job. I think I have a face for radio. I should probably do that. I should do some radio work.
Oh, that would be fun.
True story, random story, but true story. Yes. In like a past life, I used to want to be a voice actor.
Okay.
Like when I was a kid. I didn't know it was called voice acting at the time. I was just like, oh, I want to make like cartoon voices at home as a kid. And so I used to practice making like voices of cartoons and different people. But then I was
can
like,
I ask? Can you do a demonstration?
I used to do a Donald Duck one. Let me see if I can do it. No, I can't do it. I used to be able to do a Donald Duck voice. Hold on, let me see if I can get it. No, I can't do it. I gotta practice. No,
I can kind of hear it though. I can kind of hear it.
I gotta practice. I'm way off of practice. But I used to try and do like little cartoon voices and stuff. But
I'll tell you one thing.
That was a different life.
I don't know how folks even, you at least sounded close to doing the Donald Duck voice. I don't know how people do that. Like it seems really difficult.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard. But you know what? It's like after you listen to it, particularly if you watch a lot of cartoons when you're a kid, you get used to these voices and kind of what like the pitches sound like, and then you just have to practice like hitting the pitches. It's almost like singing, right? Like if you think about how singers go, like Mariah Carey as an example of someone that hits very high notes. I'm gonna guess that she didn't like was born hitting high notes. I'm gonna guess that that's practice like over time. You know what I mean? And like you tune your voice into certain frequencies and making like certain noises. Like, you know, how do you puff your cheeks up and like how do you, you know, expand your diaphragm and release the air and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
So it's practice, you know, just like anything else.
Did you happen to do anything to try and pursue that after, you know, once you realized that it was something you were interested in as a kid, or no?
I joined a choir. I was in a choir for a little while.
Okay.
And I was like a music student. I played piano for 6 years. And so I think between music and being on a choir, like I did okay at like tuning my voice to certain notes, particularly within a range that I was comfortable in, because you know everyone has like a comfortable range that they could, you know, project in. But yeah, but afterward, I just stopped doing it. I became a computer nerd instead. And I stopped, you know, trying to do that stuff.
I say, and I'm surprised. Like, I'm surprised because you and I have known each other for so long. I don't think I ever knew that about you. That you played piano at one point.
Yeah, I played piano for about six years. Yep.
Nice. Excellent.
Did.
Is that something like where it's like riding a bike? Like if there's a piano
no, it is
around?
not. Whoever says that to you is a liar. It is not like riding a bike at all.
Well,
Or you know, it's like if you ride a marathon bike and not like a stationary bike. Let's put it that way.
Okay,
It takes a while. You know, there's certain things that you could just pull off by muscle memory. But you know, if you take 10 years off, there's no way you're gonna come back and be like, oh, I'm just gonna sit on a piano and I'm gonna like, oh, I know what these black and white keys do. Like it'll just work. No, it does work.
Well, next time we're at like a team function and there's a piano in the room, I'm gonna be like, nope,
piano, nope, not doing it.
Not that there's usually pianos in like conference rooms, but you know.
Well, if you recall building 20, so building 20 on the Microsoft campus, remember where they had the reactor?
Yeah.
There is a piano in there, and so
wait, really?
Bern, our old teammate Bern, he used to go in there and play. It was in the back. So remember there was there were arcade games back there. There was like Street Fighter, Pac-Man, like a pinball table. And next to the pinball table was also a piano. It wasn't a super huge piano. It was like a little tiny piano. I think they took it out though. But there was a piano, and then Donovan had his air hockey table. I think that's what you call it, like air hockey, you know, thing that floats and you hit it. Yeah, he had his air hockey table in there for a couple of years. I think they eventually moved him to the mixer. But
that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. Jay Walter in chat says, "Don't quit your day job." Wink.
I will not. I promise.
All right, let's moving on now. That was good to chat about that and learn about that. I didn't know. That's good. Awesome. Fun stuff, and we have lots of links, so that's why I think we should segue right into the next segment of the show, which is
links of the day.
Links of the day. If you're new to the stream, you don't know what that is. Cecil and I have, we basically gather things that we've learned over the past week, or just some stuff to share with people that we think might be exciting for you all. You might find useful, helpful, informative, and drop them in chat and in the stream notes for folks that maybe watch this later. So Cecil, why don't you go first? I think you have about 3, and I end up gathering about 3 links as well. So let's see if we
so my screen's up. So let's go ahead and share the screens. So this one is kind of new. So folks, if you're familiar with what PyTorch is, it is a deep learning framework for Python. Like some other things in that space, you might have heard of like TensorFlow and Keras, I think it's called, and some other things like that. But PyTorch is an open source machine learning framework. It's from Facebook, I believe, or the Facebook folks, open sourced it, and a lot of folks are using it now. But the reason I bring this up is because our team recently worked a lot with their team. So our team is in like the developer advocacy team, worked with their team, and they created this really cool tutorial where you can come in here and you can dive deep into learning the basics about starting to use PyTorch. So it looks like there's about 7 modules in here. But not only do you get to kind of go through these modules and learn things about it, they also added this really cool option. You see at the top left side here of the screen, it says run in Microsoft Learn.
Hmm.
And so not only can you take these, kind of go through these exercises here on the website, if I click on this run in Microsoft Learn option, what will happen is it'll open that same module from the PyTorch website in Microsoft Learn. And then notice now it gives me a sandbox where I can actually run a notebook. And I can run the notebook in Microsoft Learn. So you're not using any of your local resources to process the data or do any of that type of stuff. Obviously, you can if you want to, but you don't have to because they have this really cool experience that's available now. So definitely hope folks check it out. Again, this is pretty new. I think it's about 2 weeks old. They announced it like the week before build kind of thing. So if you're interested in it, definitely take a look at this.
That's one, really cool, and two, like just notebooks in general, I've been really getting on board with and excited about, whether they're in this type of context or in VS Code as like ways to scratchpad or as educational resources to put together. I'm really excited about the potential in the future with this stuff. It's interesting, and it's not just so for folks that maybe are new to hearing that term notebooks. It's not just for Python, which is what I originally thought when I first heard about notebooks. It's for other programming languages that you can use it for as well, but Python being the main driver behind it, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm interested if folks in the chat are familiar with these machine learning tools. I'll be very honest, I know nothing about them or the differences between them, but I've been hearing a lot of folks saying that PyTorch is really good because it's really easier to learn for folks that already know Python or not necessarily machine learning specialists or experts. So if anyone in the chat has ever used any of these, I'd definitely love to hear what you think about it. Have you used them before? What are your thoughts on these frameworks? Brian, maybe you and I at some point, we could go through one of these, kind of like how we went through all those different web frameworks. Like, we went through Django and Flask and Fast API. Maybe we can have some sessions where we actually go through some of these machine learning frameworks and kind of see what the differences are and, see how they work. Again, I don't know what that means because I've never used one. So I don't know what the expectations are or how much time it'll take. But again, this is something folks are interested in. We could have a discussion about it.
I'm always down to learn and try new things with that, especially when it comes to technology. So yeah, I'm in. I see Isaac jokingly in the chat says, "You have Mac? How does Bill allow that?" It's a new Microsoft, Isaac.
Yeah, Bill doesn't work here anymore, man.
Yeah,
he's retired.
Yeah. So in the same vein of PyTorch, my first link that I have to share. Oh, and I got to put that link in the chat for everybody. I'll do that after this. I'll drop the next links. Okay. Let me add my screen here. So, and I need to bump it up a notch. Basically, just a few days ago, the Python VS Code Twitter account announced that PyTorch support is available in VS Code now. So you can do deep learning with Python directly in VS Code. So I thought that'd be very interesting and appropriate considering the link that you were sharing as well, Cecil. Drop that in the chat so people can explore there as get the next step. If you want to do some of the same type of stuff on your own, on your machine, using PyTorch in VS Code, you can do so now, which is, I think, a great addition. Yet another way you can approach this way of learning about this particular topic. And then I got the link to this ready to go to drop in the chat as well.
Yeah. And I think there's actually a new PyTorch. I think there's a PyTorch extension for VS Code now as well, like a standalone extension for that. Again, I don't know what it does. I'm going to assume that it helps you organize experiments and run them and things of that nature. But again, I'm not a data science or machine learning expert, so I can't really talk about it too much. But if folks are interested in that, I mean, there's again a dedicated extension for VS Code for PyTorch that's either in preview or just fully released. So you could definitely take a look at that as well.
Yeah, and I see, to answer your question, Jay Walter in the chat says, we use Python ML, machine learning stuff at work, but personally, they are focused on front end and infrastructure at the moment. Okay. Well, that's cool to hear, though.
Yeah, I get it. Me too, man. I don't touch that. I don't touch that machine learning stuff. But I think, it's always good to learn new things. So maybe, again, I'm always down to try something out and, try things that are uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So you got another link to share?
I do have another link. Is my screen still on? Okay. Yeah, you can put my screen on.
Okay. It's on.
And so I found this article while I was kind of just, not working over the weekend. And one of the things I'm always fond of or looking into is, how do different languages handle like multiple threads of execution? You know what I mean? Concurrency, parallelism, all that types of stuff. And this has been an interesting story in Python in general. Between async IO, and then you have Tornado, which is one thing, and G events, and there's lots of different things that will help you kind of do concurrent execution of your code within Python. And some of them are built into the library, as in like the standard library for Python, and some of them are like third-party, modules and libraries that you have to install. So I thought this was an interesting article. This one was by a guy, I believe his name was Samuel. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom, sorry, don't mean to drive anybody nuts. Yes, Samuel Hinton. He has a really cool article that kind of compares some of the different options for multi-processing in Python. So he looked at some options that are built in. So for instance, you might see him talk about things like concurrent futures, which is built into Python, for instance. But then there's some other cool libraries that I know I haven't heard about before. For instance, is Loki. Is one that's in here that you could use. MPI for Pi. Message passing interface is what MPI stands for. He also looks over Ray, and I think there's Dask in here as well. There you go. So again, like there's tons of different options for being able to run code across different processes to just be able to, parallelize that work and spread it out and distribute it across a cluster of machines or cluster of processes. So again, if this is something you're interested in, definitely check it out. Again, I think it's a good read. I love reading stuff like this. So I love to know what y'all think.
Yeah, that's got me thinking, like, even for the Twitch tracker app, like that background job, if we got to a point where we were tracking like lots of channels and we wanted to spread out the workload of crunching those numbers for that, we could use something like one of these options that are available here to help us with that. Right?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and share your next link? And I got someone knocking on my door. Let me go see
All right, no
what this
worries.
is.
No worries.
Right.
All right, folks. So my next link is a little bit, I mean, it's still Microsoft and work-related stuff. But tomorrow, we're going to be doing a live event with the VS Code team. Let me get this shared. Ooh, where is it? Where are we? Right here. Here's a direct link to it. I'm going to drop it in the chat. But there's an event with the VS Code team. Well, there's the link for the multiprocessing one that Cecil just shared from cosmiccoding.com.au. And then the link for what I'm sharing is another Twitter status. What's up, Data Dev? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. So this one is Visual Studio Code event. Protect your code time and stay in flow with software.com and VS Code. So the folks from software.com, which, wow, they got that domain. They have a tool that they've built out, or a couple of tools actually. I just got a demo of it just prior to this, in preparation for tomorrow's live event where I'll be hosting. They have a couple of tools that are going to help you focus and stay in, get into that flow state basically when you're developing using Visual Studio Code. So it was really interesting, really cool stuff, and I'm excited for folks to see it and share it. I learned a lot of new things that I'm gonna try out myself to help make sure I can stay focused and tuned into what I'm trying to do when I'm and what is really interesting, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but they find ways to find ideal times that most developers times in the day that most developers feel most productive and focused. It's not to say that like everybody, does this, but it just shows you maybe some trends to see if maybe that might work for you as well, or you might be, maybe you get a better time of day that's different than that, that works best for you. But in any case, it helps you kind of identify those trends and habits that you have while using VS Code through their service. So if you're interested in learning more about that, come join us tomorrow. It's Thursday, June 3rd, 8 a.m. Seattle, 11 a.m. New York, and 4 p.m. London time. Hopefully that time works for you. If not, don't worry. They are recorded, so you'll be able to check those out and watch the recording later on, along with some links and show notes. And I'm not sharing my screen. Why am I not sharing my screen? There we go. My bad. So this is it right here. The VS Code team tweeted that out for the live event that we're going to be doing tomorrow. So yeah, hope you're interested in checking that out. And I think Cecil's back, and Cecil has one more link for us to share. So let me remove my screen, add this baby crying in the background and everything.
Oh, there's a baby?
There's a baby here.
Ooh, I don't hear any baby.
You know about Music Time?
I do know about Music Time. I love Music Time. Music time is one of my favorite extensions for sure. So my link really quickly. So Brian, the other day, and you could go ahead and share my screen. The other day, Brian and I were working on the same application, but we're doing some pair programming off stream. And one of the things that Brian and I had to do was trying to figure out, well, how are we going to parse some date time values that came back as strings, and they didn't come back in a Pythonic date time format that we could just pass into the thing. They came back in some other format. And so what ended up happening was, Brian created like this regular expression. I was like, regular expressions. And he was like, no, it's cool. I can do it. I'm like, okay. So you created a regular expression for us to kind of go through and parse these values out. And it worked out pretty well. But you know me, like my first thought is someone else must have done this already, right? And so I always, I'm digging around, I'm looking for libraries and stuff like that. And I believe, Brian, this was like a couple of weeks ago. This might have been like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So anyway, I didn't find anything in the moment, but literally yesterday, I found this library called Date Finder. And it looks like it does exactly that, right? Like you give it, it supports different types of date formats, and it parses them out, right? And then you're able to get like a lot of different pieces of information out of the string. What's cool too is that like it doesn't have to be the date can be embedded in the string. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing doesn't have to be a date. It could be, hey, today is Monday, and it'll go out and like pull out the Monday.
It must be using regular expressions behind the scenes then.
I mean, if someone else writes it, I'm cool with it, man. You know, like I just don't want to deal with it. So that's all good. It's all good. So yeah, I thought this was a really cool library. It looks like it uses a few other things under the hood. So Date Finder looks like it under the hood, it uses this thing called Dates Util as well. So I don't know if folks are familiar with what Dates Util is, but it uses that under the hood. And and it probably makes it much easier. So this could be something for you to check out if you're, if any of you folks have to do any date parsing or anything like that.
I'm glad you found it. I'm interested in checking it out. Maybe it probably has better regular expression. I mean, the way you described it, you made it seem like I was super confident in my own regular expression writing capabilities, which I am not. I want to be very clear. I'm not. And so I probably be more confident in somebody that wrote a whole library that's available. I'm assuming open source as well. To check out.
It's all on GitHub, and I think I found it on Reddit. Do y'all go on Reddit?
Sometimes.
I was on Reddit.
Not really. If it comes up in a search, Google or DuckDuckGo, then yeah. But I'm not usually just browsing it.
Yeah, I found it somewhere here in Reddit. I didn't even know how you search this thing. But anyway, I found it somewhere in the Python Reddit, the Python subreddit, I think is how you call it. And yeah. I randomly come in here just to look at, I look at these tags, for instance. I look at like the showcases just to kind of see what are people working on or what are people creating, stuff like that. I usually don't get into the discussions because I know discussions are very opinionated. But it's always good to if folks have really cool tips and tricks to share, or cool libraries they found. It's always kind of cool to come in here and take a look at some of those.
I have that's actually not a bad link to share with everybody too. The Python subreddit, because I have, in searching for stuff, have come across resources through that, and I think it is a nice resource for the Python community to pop in there. All right, and I want to get into the what we're going to do today. But I have one more session. It's a bit of a shameless plug, but it is appropriate to what we're talking about and doing, and us being focused on making beginner-friendly content and courses and videos and whatnot. I helped host, and Cecil helped moderate a session at Build that was Get Started with Popular Programming Languages. One of the two languages that was discussed was Python. So it was an intro to Python and C#. Christopher Harrison did the intro to Python part of the show or session, and James Montemagno did the C# part. It was fantastic.
That's right.
We got a lot of really good feedback, and I think it might be helpful for people to check out if they're interested. The link is in the chat, and if I share my screen, you can see it there. I just haven't fully loaded it yet. But so yeah, if you're looking to get started into programming, which is what the show is pretty much trying to focus on and help with, then that record session might be helpful for you. So
Nice.
check that out.
I totally forgot like those recordings were even available.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at.
They posted them pretty quickly up on the Microsoft Developer YouTube account after build. So that was cool to see.
Nice.
All
Okay.
right. With that being said, let's jump into
links of the day.
that is end of our segment.
Links of the day.
And now we
No more
get
links
into working on a project.
Dude, I need
now,
to shave, dude.
do you?
I'm looking kind of grizzly. I
Ah.
need to take care of that.
Looking good, looking sharp. All right. So for folks that are interested in following along with the project, maybe you want to contribute to it. The link to it is right here below, github.com/Cecil Phillip. And you can join in there. We also have our discussions that are available. If you just add /discussions to the end of that, you'll be able to tune in and see our latest show notes, which I'm going to drop the link to that directly in the chat. If you're looking for that most recent
and then
one.
you can put my screen back up because I do have the notes up from the last session, so we can talk about those super quick.
Awesome. Okay, there we go.
And then I'll just make that a little bit bigger so we can take a look at it. So kind of like what Brian was saying, if you head to that link that he shared in the chat, so you should be able to come and see the notes from the last session we did, which would have been 2 weeks ago, because we didn't stream last week because, work and build and things of that nature, but we did stream the week before. And I believe the last time what we did was we went through updating like the sources of data that we're going to be able to pull stream information from. So what does that mean? So, the app that we're building right now, we're working on one of the background processes, right? Kind of like you can think about it like a daemon or some type of Sentinel app that's running in the background. And essentially its only job is to just update records on some specified interval, right? So what we've done is we'll say, okay, well, how do we know which ones of these things that we want to update? Like which ones of these channels we want to pay attention to? So we added some configurability to it. So you can pull those in pieces from environment variables, or you can pull them from the database. So we did the environment variable one, I think, off stream, Brian, if I'm not mistaken. And then on stream, we did the database one. So that's kind of where we are today. And I believe what we're supposed to do, and again, you can come in here, we could talk about what we learned, using linked list comprehensions with MongoDB results and things of that nature. So I think the next thing that we have to do is, now that we have that configured, we have the background runner running, why don't we figure out, well, how do we, what pieces of that Twitch information that we want to attach to those models? And let's go ahead and actually run a full-fledged update, right? And then, put some information in there. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at that?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good, given the amount of time we have. Oh, excuse me. Given that we had a little tickle in the back of my throat, given the amount of time that we have, I feel like that's something that we can accomplish, barring any setbacks.
Yeah,
through
I think
today's
so.
session.
You know what you need for that, your throat, right? You know what I'm going to tell you.
Oh,
Need to get yourself some coconut water, man.
I was gonna say coconut water, but I'm like, is that really? Is it? Yeah.
Man, coconut water fixes everything, man. You ever have those family members that have one remedy that fixes everything?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, my leg's hurting. Take one of these. Oh, my back's hurting. Take one of these. Oh, I lost a finger. Oh, take this too. It'll grow right back.
Yeah.
That's what they do, man. That's what they do.
Dude,
Okay.
that reminds me. I don't know if it's maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but you posted that picture of the coconuts in the tree, and I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity for a corny joke. And I said, this is, all you need is a little tree shaking, and I feel like that might have just fell flat, the joke, but because it's like a front end development.
I saw it. I was just like, I don't know what this is.
Yeah, you're like,
I was just like, oh, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian
and his corny jokes. Okay.
Because I remember I saw it, but I was with Cameron. Me and Cameron were outside playing and doing stuff, and I saw it. I was just like, oh, Brian, my friend.
That was the reaction I was hoping for. Okay,
I
good to
remember
know.
that. I remember.
All right, moving on.
So let's do a super quick review of what the main.py looks like for the background runner. And again, the background runner, the purpose of this is to pull the names of channels, and then we'll update those inside of our database. Oh, and speaking of database, I need to make sure I have Docker running. Let me go ahead and run that too, because we're going to need that.
Good call. Good call.
So really quickly, there's a few methods that are in here, right? So this is get channels from environment variables. Again, this is nothing too crazy. This is just pulling key value out of there. This is the database one. This one is a little bit more involved because, we got to connect to Mongo and, oh, look, I have a to-do in here that I got to do. Got to fix that at some point. And then after that, we kind of break all of this down a little bit, right? So then after we get the channels, right, then we get the streams from each of that channel. So we kind of just, we use the Twitch API client, and then we just grab some information from those requests that we make. Here's a regular expression that I mentioned that Brian was talking about, or that he worked on. And then as we scroll through here, yeah, this is just parsing, right? This is just pull the value out and store. This is just a store and forward kind of situation where we eventually build up a stream, right? And then we put the stream inside of the database. Now, I believe we ran this already the last time. Did we?
Yeah.
What did we do with it? We ran it and then, yeah, there we go. This is what we did. So we ran it and we printed it. So that's what's been happening so far. We've just been printing it to the console. And again, for people that might want to know what this looks like, why don't we go ahead and run this super quick so you could see what the results of that that execution would be. So if I do, I think I gotta get into source. What is this? Source background, right? Clear that. Python, small Python.
Python.
Main.py. There you go. And then if we just kind of let this run, what do we have this set to run as? This is running as what?
Oh,
I think this is running with.
wait. Don't open up your env.
Yeah, I'm going to open the example. I'm not going to open the real one. I think we have it set as an environment. Whatever's here is what is in the other thing.
All right.
So right now, this is like checking the environment, and it's pulling some information out of there. So anyway, when the data comes back, it looks something like this. And then we're using Rich, which is another Python API, to make it look pretty. So when you print it out, it's not like a big glob of black and white text. And, hopefully that looks a little bit more, pleasing for you all to be able to see and read as you're looking at the stream. But as you can see here, we're not gonna read all of these, but all of these streams are attached to a particular channel, right? And then same with this. So this one is Dashdux, which is this one. And if we scroll to the top, this one will be Microsoft Developer, which is the one that you're currently attached to right now. Now, I think the one thing that we did need to do, Brian, we needed to fill this out, the URL. And I believe we said we were gonna auto-generate that because the URL would be based on the name of the
channel.
I think it's based on the user or the channel. I can't remember because I always get those confused, like users and channels. But it's based on one of those. So why don't we go in first and try and just add that in super quick, because I think that's something we can do in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
This is inspect channels. Inspect channels is going to call retrieve. All right, here it is. So we need to put it in here, right? Now, if I were supposed to open this one, let's put that side by side. You can see, I believe what we did was we made the URL optional. How do we make it optional? We just gave it a default value, right? And so that's how it's been made optional, right? If y'all could see this side here. Let me know if this font size is not big enough too. I know everyone has like an opinion.
Bump it up maybe like one more. Should be at least a little bit better.
One more? Or are we good?
I think we're good there.
Okay. All right. So this is how we made it optional. So what we need to do now is let's go ahead and just kind of give that a value. Now, now I'm going to assume it's based on the name of the channel, right? And so if it's based on the name of the channel, I could do something like URL is equal to, And I'm going to use f strings in Python because I think that's a good way to do it.
Okay.
And using Python f strings, I'm going to put the comma here because it's going to freak out on me. I'll do that. And then inside of this, we could say user. I hope I can do this. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. I think we can do that.
Yeah.
And then we want to do, like this says, display name.
Well, I don't know if we want to do. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe because the display name, like we can modify. Like as a Twitch user, I can modify my display name. I think all I can do is change the capitalization though, and I can't.
So
like add
what value
space
would this
for it.
be then, for instance? Then?
I'll need to bring up the Twitch API really quick. Hold on. Dev.twitch.tv.
The only other thing, we have the display name and the user ID. And so today, those are the same, if you remember.
No. Well, user ID.
Yeah, so if you go to, let's go to our app, right? Dev.twitch.tv. We'll go to the reference documents. And then this should be get users, right? There we go, right? So if you look at get users, zoop, I'll zoom in super big.
Zoop.
So, we have the login name.
That's what we
and
want.
the
login.
display name. Now you notice, like these are the same. This just one is different casing. But you're saying this could change?
That they can change, but I think they can only really change. I'm just guess what I'm saying is the safer bet is to go with the login value, because I know as a user that has a channel myself, like I can change my display name to be different. I don't know if that means it's different than the login or not. Like you can vary from that, but it's best to go with login, I think.
So you're saying if you change your display name, your login will be the same?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That should work, right? So now if we just run that again super quick, hopefully it doesn't break anything. Right. So see now, if you look at here, right, we just filled out that URL parameter right now. So, I mean, until it breaks, hold on a second, but username is once every 90 days. You can change both, I think. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
I'm just looking in the chat really quick. Yeah. So, I mean, if that's the case, then, I don't know, we'll figure it out.
It'll be updated, right? Because like when this background worker runs, it's still going to get that same identifier, right? The ID, the user ID, right? And then we'll just get the updated name.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's check, right? So now we have the URL being filled out. I think that's the only other thing that we didn't have filled out, right? We had the identifier, the name, the platform. Identifiers, the ID, name, URL, platform. We fill out the streams here. Oh, we didn't put in last updated. I guess we could do last updated. Well, we don't need to do that because see, we gave this a default value as well.
Yeah. And
this has a default value of datetime now. And datetime now is a function. So this I don't know. This expression that's here is really just going to call the function as the default for this. So we actually don't need to do that either. So that's actually pretty ready and good to go. So there we go. Now, so like we said, we got that information from the Twitch API, right? So at this point, instead of printing it out, what we actually need to do is we need to store it, right? So I need a function that says, I don't know, let's call it like updates database or something, right? Something like that, right? Let's call it that. And then we'll need to put that into channels. Right, something like that, right? Now, this doesn't exist, right? And so I'm going to have to create this method super quick. So let's go ahead and create it here. So I'll do def that, right? That's stuff. And then this method, because I've been using type annotations, so this accepts a type of, I think this is an array of channels, right? A channel list. So this is going to accept channels, right? Which should be a type of list channel. So if folks have never done Python, what do you call them? Type hints before? I think we call these type hints. These type hints aren't required. Like they will get compiled out or just removed as extra text. But again, I like to use them because from a from a tooling perspective and Visual Studio Code and just type checkers and all these types of things, like it's a good developer productivity boost. So I like to do that stuff. So you see, like, look, now it's yelling at me and saying, well, this is not right, Cecil. Channel is not defined. Don't I have channels there? Oh, yes. Oops.
Low roll.
There you go. Right now, channels is defined. Right. So there you go. So we should be good to go, at least up to that point. So now in here, inside of this method, we could fold this up a little bit. Now inside of this method, we need to figure out how we're going to update the database. Now we can do a couple of things, I guess, Brian. I know MongoDB has like an upsert or something of that nature. So we could probably do an upsert. We just have to figure out how that works. I'm guessing an upsert would probably be the best option for what we're doing. Because for us, we're not doing any. Yeah, this is, again, fairly simple, like just update and insert. So we really want to replace the record, right? And if the record's not there, we want to create the record, which makes sense. Yeah. So let's see if we can do an upsert. But before we do that, again, I'm going to copy this code. So all this, we should probably put this in a function, but until we refactor it out, I'm just going to copy this. Now, what this part here is doing is really just grabbing the collection, right? Is all this part is doing, right? The collection that we want to work with. So I'm just going to copy that, and then I'm going to move that into this section that's here. Okay. All right, great. So now what does this part do? Excuse me. So line 102, right here, first line, all this is doing is getting the connection string from our environment variable. Line 103 creates the client, and then the rest of this here just gets the database name, which, if you've not seen it before, I'm going to open up MongoDB really quickly. It gets database name and the name of the collection. Connecting. Let me make sure this thing is running. I don't think my database is running, Brian. Let's open is the hub? No, I don't want the hub. That's not what I want. I want the dashboard. And the dashboard opened on another screen. All right, so you can see here, this is the tracker app we have. Our Mongo database is not running right now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the run button and start it up.
Okay.
Sorry, geez.
What?
It's yelling at me.
Oh.
It's like, stop pressing the button. All right, there we go. So now it's connected. Or it's connecting. It's spinning. Unable to list databases. Connection refused. It says it's connected. Is this? I wish. Can you stop this? Refresh. Would refresh stop it from spinning? Yeah, it says connection refused. Oh, look. So look at this. It says it's connected, but the database is actually not running. Why did it stop? Let's try it again. Okay.
Here we go.
Let's make sure it keeps running. Okay. Oh, see? Now it's working. I don't know what happened.
Weird.
All right. So this is the name of our database, Stream Tracker. And we have this channel collection, right? Right now, our collection, I think, only has one document in it. And this is what's in here. So pretty much we want to do is we want to do a search for anything that has a channel name of the name of the channels that we're looking at, and then just replace it with the, with the documents that, we pass in here. So that makes sense. So, so we have the database name, we have the channel, MDB. Channel stands for MongoDB channel, right? And then the next thing that we want to do, we could collapse some of these things. I think the next thing that we want to do, and I'm just, excuse me, I'm just cheating and peeking at some code for a little bit. Yeah, the next thing we want to do is run some type of upsert, right? So I'll get rid of this. So you want to say for, well, we can do a for loop, but I don't know. Maybe MongoDB has a batch command too that you could run. I don't know if they do or not. So why don't we take a look? Let's see.
It does have an update many. So I was behind the scenes. I was.
It does.
I was searching around
In
and
PyMongo.
a little bit. Let me send you. I'm going to send you the link in the private chat.
Yeah, send me the link.
This seems to be promising.
But I
And
believe
basically, there's a document.collection.update many query is the first parameter. Like, what do you want to query for? And I think
you
we
just
would
sent
just
it
do
to
it
me?
by
There we go.
yeah by channel ID, then pass in the update, and then upsert. You set upsert to true. So if it doesn't exist, it will insert it. If it already exists, it will update it. Is my
Upsert
understanding.
examples we'll use. There's an update many, acknowledge match. Use up. Okay, so it says use upsert true argument in the update many, and it should work. Okay.
What you think? Should we give it a shot? Yes? Maybe? No? The interesting thing is update many. Maybe that's not right. Update many meaning like if you have more than one instance with that search criteria, like an ID field.
ID 6.
Maybe I'm wrong on update many.
Upsert. So I'm trying to understand what this works. You call update many, but it's giving it one ID and it's setting the price to 99. So I'm guessing this will create one document with an ID of 6 and a price 99.
Yes, I'm thinking. Well, there's a bulk. They have a bulk. Mongo has a bulk.find.update. Adds a multi-update operation to a bulk operations list. The method updates specific fields in existing documents. I might be sending us down a rabbit hole. Sorry.
All right, no worries. I think that there has to be an upsert situation. Let's do this. Oh, there's a bulk one.
Yeah.
Bulk write operations. Is there a bulk update operation? There's also a replace one. If there's a replace one, is there a replace many? So replace a single document matching the filter. Okay, that makes sense. You put in the filter. So the upsert option can be used to insert a new document if a matching document does not exist. Okay, and then that upsert is just the last option that's in there. Okay. All right, so the filter, the document, and then that. Can I do that more than one time? There's insert many, there's replace one, there's update one. Yeah, I don't think here's an update many. What does update many do? Update one or more documents that match the filter.
Yeah, that's the thing. Our filter is going to be based on each individual channel ID. So it's basically if we had the same channel in there multiple times, it would update both of those, right?
Yeah. All right, that's fine. So let's just do this one. Let's just do the replace one operation.
Okay.
So it says we have to give it a filter, the document we want to replace it with, and then we just have to set upsert equal to true. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So MDB underscore channel. Well, before we do that, we got a let's say ch in channels.
Yeah.
Right, and then we want to call MDB. We really should like put some exception handling in this code. I know I say that like every time. We really should. Then we wanted to replace. Oh, there it is. It shows up. Replace one. That's great. Okay. And so now we want the filter. The filter should be, and if we take a look at this, right? So the
channel ID.
Yeah, the channel ID. Okay. Channel ID is equal to, and then our channel ID is
ch.
Let me make sure. Is that the same thing?
Identifier.
Our channel ID is identifier. There you go. I just wanted to make sure it was right. Well, is it?
Yeah.
No, you know what? Because this is the old one. Remember, this is the old data. Yeah, this is the old data. That's fine. Yeah, that's the old data. So because this should be channel ID and channel ID.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So replace the channel ID with ch identifier. And then we want to put in the channel, and then we want to set this true. It's mad at me. Why are you mad at me? Why are you mad? Oh, okay, it's gone. I was like, I didn't do anything. Stop doing that. So I'm assuming this should do what it does. What does this return? Does it return anything? It returns a type of update results. All right, so let's say update results is equal to that, right? And then we mouse over this. And I'm guessing update results would give us something like the number, right? So acknowledged amounts stuff. So kind of like what you were showing us, what you showed us here, like update result returns this stuff.
Okay.
Right. So it's just a type that encapsulates that information.
Nice. That's helpful.
So that makes sense. And we could print that out or something. Maybe we'll print it or something. I think that's it. So let's run this. Let's go ahead and print this. Updates results, for now.
Mhm.
I don't want it there. Stay. Okay.
I knew that was going to happen. It's your linter.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave it. But this looks fine. So call replace one, give it the thing, right? So channel ID and channel ID. This will be here. That should be true. So I'm thinking what will happen, because since this doesn't match, right?
It'll insert a new one.
Well, it does match. This is fine. Is this fine? Yeah, that's fine. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense.
Uh-oh.
Does it?
Yeah. Because what we're pulling from the Twitch API is under the field channeled. If you go up to, I was looking at the code, line 90.
Mm-hmm.
When you're creating the instance of channel on line 90, identifier equals the user ID that we get back from Twitch.
Yeah. So this should really be identifier. This can't be channel ID. The reason that this says channel ID,
it would have worked
the reason
either
it
way,
says
right?
channel ID in this one. Open. Why would it open? The reason that this says channel ID in that one, because remember, this is the old schema.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I keep thinking like this is not what it's supposed to be. Yeah, this is the old schema. So probably what I'll do, because this is what the new schema should look like, right? Identifier, name, platform, URL.
Should we just delete that item, that document then from the database for now?
I'll just put it here, and then it will just replace it.
Okay.
Actually, no, it won't replace it because this is not the real ID. Yeah, let's just delete it.
Because we want to test to see if
it
will, because you're using the replace one function with Mongo. We want to see if it'll actually insert it, right?
Yeah.
When it doesn't exist.
I'm trying to right-click delete this. I thought you could right-click delete stuff, and apparently you can't.
Maybe at the documents level, like that. Oh, that might be, yeah.
Search for documents. I want to delete this. Anyway, let's just see if our code works, and then we could figure out how to delete stuff after we get it in there.
All right.
Getting it in is the problem now. All right. So I'm not going to run a debug session. I'm just going to run this. And I'm expecting what will happen. This will run. It'll print out the stuff. We'll pop back down into main. And so this should show after it prints out the pretty stuff.
Okay.
So that should be fine. Okay. So let's see what happens. Cross the fingers. Let's
no whammies, no whammies. There's all that. And there's all that. Where's the result?
Work. No. All right. So what's the problem? The problem is
135.
It says must be an instance of dict, DICT, or Bison. All right, so that's not an instance of any of those. So the problem it's saying is that because we have a
list of channels,
data class,
right?
yeah, we have to convert this data class to
A dictionary.
a dictionary. So instead of us calling replace on the channel, we got to change that to a dictionary.
Convert data class dictionary. Let's see.
And I believe there is a function called yeah, I found it. There's a function called as dict. Okay, so let's go back to let's go. This is a Python. This is a built-in one. I like to put the built-in ones at the top, just I don't have it. So from data classes imports as dict. There you go, as dict, right? And then if we kind of look at this, so this takes, yeah, it takes any object and returns a dictionary. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
So where were we? We were here, right?
Yeah.
So then we have to just say as dict, and then we pass in a channel. Okay, great. Boom. Let's comment out this print. We know it works. I don't need to see it print every time.
Yeah.
Wrong language. All right, let's go ahead and run this and see if it works now. Okay, so return the update results, right? Okay,
yeah,
that's fine. I thought this would have turned the update results into actual data, but we'll look at that next in a second. I'm going to come over here to the database. I'll refresh, and here we have a couple of documents.
Oh,
great. So here's the right ID. This is why I was telling you it wasn't going to work before, because you notice, one, the property name is different, and then two, the ID doesn't match. Right? But then everything else looks fine. This is a Python date object, which is why it looks weird like this, but it'll serialize fine. And then we have our streams, which have a start date, end dates, title, and description, right? And these will be things that you and I probably want to edit and fill out ourselves at some point. But this is pretty much what we're doing here.
That's cool.
Yeah, so for now, that looks pretty good. So why don't we do this? There should be another one that let's figure out how you delete this thing, because this is going to bug me a lot. I'm going to, there's already a delete menu in there. That's perfect. I was going to delete it. So let's say db.channel .delete one. And the one I want to delete, I love how this playground has like autocomplete. It's like my best friend. I want you to delete the one where the channel or is it the identifier? Yeah, we say it as identifier, where the identifier is this. I don't know if this thing works with strings or just raw numbers. Let's try it out and see what happens. Let's run that. Deleted count 1, refresh this. All right, great, got rid of it. Awesome. So that's deleted. Bye. This works fine. All right, let's see. So this works out fine. This print thing is working fine. We're pulling that information here. This looks like the upstart is working for now. Why don't we do this? If we take a look at the last updated date, so the last updated date should always be now, because every time we run it, it should just default to now, right? Now, if I do some math here, this says 2:30. Is that what it's saying? 2:38, right? So it's 2:40 right now, at least 2:40 my time, Eastern Standard Time. So that means that if I run it again, that time should change. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that. It's going to print those things out. If we check it again, right, so it says 2:40, right? So it is updating the time. So it's updating the way that it kind of expect it to. So that's fine. What do you think we should do with these update results? Do you think we should
I think
we inspect them to see, hey, if nothing was updated, I don't know, signal that there was a problem kind of thing? Or
yeah, I mean, I think that'll be a good start to send us down the direction of doing what you've been talking about that we keep needing to do, which is do some exception handling, right? So
yeah.
I think that'd be helpful to have. Let's
Yeah.
inspect it more.
Yeah, because I don't think it'll throw an exception, but I do think, like, for instance, if we have channels that aren't doing anything, like aren't being updated, it'd be good to at least have like some logging or some notifications to be like, hey, you keep asking us for this information, but we really don't have it, so stop asking, Cecil and Brian. You know what I mean? I think that would make a lot of sense. I want to look up and see what's the, where is it? Update results. Update result. There we go. PyMongo update results. I wanted to look and see what that looks like. Result class definitions. And let's look for update results. Okay, here it is. Well, maybe we can call this has acknowledged modified stuff in it. So that it looks like we could probably just call the same method that we already had on that. So we call it as dicts, right? As dicts. In here, I'm just checking to make see if this works. This actually probably has no no functional value. I just want to see if this works. Nope, that doesn't work. Should be a data class. It's not a data class. All right. Okay. So if we wanted to pull it out, we'd have to do it ourselves to get those values. And that's fine.
Well, can't we cast it, so to speak? Like whatever the type is that. Yeah, cast it to a dictionary.
Well, is it a class? Let's see. Let's see if it's a class. I don't know if it's a class or if it's just a thing that they just defined in here. Let's see. PyMongo. I'm searching for it in here. It should be under R for results. Yep, there we go. And update result. Yep, so it is a class. Okay. So so then we should be able to just kind of like what you said, right? Use DICT, and that should be able to work, I think. I'm just checking. I think that should work.
You know what's interesting? So I did a quick search. Stack Overflow option 1, use ASDICT, ASDICT method, which you tried, and that didn't work. So maybe it can't be then if you can't.
Well, I think I know what you're looking at. The one that you're showing. Actually, let me bring it up so people can see what we're looking at.
Okay.
So we can see it at the same time. But the reason why that one wouldn't work is because this is the stack overflowing. Just in case you didn't know, there will be a lot of stack overflowing on this stream.
Yes.
The reason why this doesn't work is because we don't control this class, right? So what they're doing is that they're overriding. Technically, they're overriding the method.
Yeah.
On the type, right? We don't own the type, so we can't add this. Right? If we could add this, then we could, kind of do this ourselves.
Gotcha.
Which we can't, and that's fine. Another thing that we could do is, because this is really just lazy programming right now, to be honest with you. Like, we're being super lazy right now. No, we're being super lazy right now, because the easy way for us to do it would just be something like this. We could just say, we can create like an anonymous dictionary and then just assign it to a thing, right? Like, when I say that, I mean, like, we could print it and we could just do this, right? We could just say, I don't know, updates.
Update result dot.
Yeah, update results dots whatever acknowledge, right? Is equal to acknowledge. We could just do that.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
And
you are
this
being
is-
kind of lazy, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we could just stop being lazy developers. I was being a very lazy developer, folks. That happens sometimes, but it is what it is. So acknowledge, and I want to see modified count is really what we want.
Mm.
So let's see the modified ones, and then also the last one I want to see is the acknowledged, modified, and matched. I want to know if it matched.
Okay.
Because if it matched and then didn't change, and then I think that would be problematic. So there you go. Okay. It took less time for me to do that than it did for me to Stack Overflow. Let's run that. All right, great. So if we look at the results here, right, you can see acknowledged, true, right? So it was committed. They're both modified. And again, this is a simple case, right? But over time, we might want to look at that a little bit more deeply and figure out what's happening. But again, this is just for logging. I'm going to put a statement in here for folks. They're like, why are you writing code like this, Cecil? I'm like, this is just for... Okay. But now probably what we do want to do, if we get into a production scenario, we want to have something like...
like if it isn't acknowledged?
Well, what does acknowledge mean? Does acknowledge mean that it was actually changed? What is technically what does acknowledge mean? Let me look this up.
Looking around.
I want to look it up again. Updates. Can I look it up in here? Boom. Let's click on this. Updates, results. And then I did this thing. I went into this thing. It was in results. And then it was in here, right? Boom. And so inside of this should have, okay, the raw results, the number of documents matched. What we're looking for, acknowledged, right? Is this not in alphabetical order? Raw results. Let's go to write results. Acknowledged. Acknowledged is what? So this is the result of an acknowledged write operation. I love how there's a question mark here.
I know. I'm looking at that
sure?
now too. That's not helpful. All right, so if it's
acknowledged is false, all other attributes will raise invalid operation exception. Values for other attributes cannot be determined if the write operation was. So I'm guessing acknowledged means that the write was successful.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that's what that means. All right, so I think that's fine for us to use. So if update result that acknowledged, right? Or if it's not acknowledged, then we could say, I'll put a pass here, but I'd say like
that's so funny.
Something bad happened.
It's so funny that's a question mark.
Yeah, like why is there a question mark there? Something bad happened. We should alert somebody.
Is this the result of an acknowledged write operation? Maybe.
But we could do that type of stuff with it, right? So if something bad happened, then we should do that. I think one of the ways that we could test that too is if we... Well, no.
What if you close it or you shut down the database, maybe?
I'd have to shut down the database, yeah. If I shut down the database, then this first part, like this part here, wouldn't even work. Like it'll stop here, when I try to get the channel. Yeah. And then this wouldn't even run either, right? So yeah, I don't know how you'd simulate that not happening. But hypothetically, if it doesn't work, then we'll notify somebody. But anyway, so that part's working fine for now. Why don't we talk about really quickly, because we only have about 10 minutes. Why don't we talk really quickly about what we want to do for next week? What do you think our next step should be?
Well, let's kind of recap at a high level what we have done now. So now we have this back. I feel like the background worker is, done to at least for the purpose of what we want it to do, which is to go in and gather the data we need. Like, what are the past streams for the past week, or that are at least available through Twitch? Or these
right, and then we have to figure out where we're going to put it.
Yes. So with that in mind, we need to. Well, the next step is the UI, I think, from the API. We already have an API. Bye, Cam. We already have an API that that can access this database. So now we need a UI that leverages that API that allows us to, well, Cecil and I like add the tags and description to it. Like, we've got to build a UI around it. I think that's our next step, is to start working towards building the UI, Cecil.
I think that would be good. I think another thing that would be good, we have to figure out where this thing's gonna run, like the background thing. So that's two things. What does the UI look like, and then two, where's this thing gonna run? So we should start talking about some of those things for next week's stream.
All right, I'm writing that down. The stream notes.
Yeah. Let's do that.
All set then. We are good.
Yeah. The only thing I want to say, like, you see how nice things are when you have like developer tooling? Like, could you imagine? I was like, hey, Brian, let's go look at update results. You know what I mean? When you're like, where is it, Cecil? I don't know how to find that code. And I literally like clicked on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I just kept clicking and I found it.
Yeah.
Right. But we can do that because I think, like I mentioned 2 weeks ago, the PyWeekly extension has gotten so much better. So it's so much easier now for us to kind of go and find these things. And this is another reason why I think open source is important, because if this wasn't open source, we wouldn't be able to look at this code, right? I wouldn't be able to look in these comments and see what the underlying framework is doing to be able to understand, what the expectations are. Because, sometimes everything isn't in the documentation. Sometimes you got to read the code. And so one, I'm glad that tooling allows us to do this, but two, I'm even more, excited the fact that this thing is open source and we can kind of inspect these things. And I could do it here in the editor. I didn't leave and go back to GitHub to do it. I did it here in the editor. And so that for me was a big productivity bonus. Yeah,
I completely agree. And actually, hint, we may even have some folks from the Pylance team on the stream in a future stream. So
you sound like you got a connection. You know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. So we'll see about that. So keep an eye out for a future Python stream, PyWeekly live session, where we might have somebody from the Pylance team on to talk about Pylance and how it works, and just learn more about the advantages of having that in our tooling. That said, so we know what we're gonna do next week. I don't mind us. This will be the first time in history of the show that we end early, Cecil.
You mean on time?
Early.
You mean on time? Or like, what is it? 5 minutes early. We're giving people 5 minutes back. Usually we're like an hour and half an hour late.
Right, exactly. So props to us. Funny. Let's wrap this up and make history for the PyWeekly live show. How about that?
That's amazing. Let's do it.
Just run it. Robert Tables in the chat says, just don't worry about where to run it. Robert Tables has the answer. A Raspberry Pi in your closet. It's a pro move. Kappa.
So true story, Robert.
Oh, here we go.
True story. I do not own a Raspberry Pi. I have never bought one. And I feel like that's one of those things in 2020, 2021. I feel like it's one of those things that like you lose your developer coat of arms for. You know what I mean? Like you get stripped of your badge if you do not own certain things. And I do not own a Raspberry Pi. I have other things in the closet, but I do not own a Raspberry Pi. So maybe you know what? I'm totally fine with doing like some Python Raspberry Pi on screen.
All right. I'm down for that too.
We could talk about it. Maybe I can get that expensed. Maybe someone could buy that for me. Because $20 is like a lot of money.
To be very clear, you're being kind of facetious saying that.
I'm being a little facetious. Yes,
because I don't want people thinking like, I'm not a real developer if I don't have a Raspberry Pi. You are a real developer. We're just joking around. Yes, Ayush, we are ending. And good to see you, Fuel. Thank you for being here and joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another episode of PyWeekly Live. I'm Brian Clark.
My name's Cecil Phillip. See y'all next week.
Yes,
next week, Wednesday, same time, same channel.
Bye. Cue the music. Get us off the stream. Where's my face? How do I get my face out of here? There we go.
Your face is still on stream. You need to take it off.